Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the place where bedtime stories don't always end sweetly. I'm Evergrey, your storyteller in the shadows. Each tale is a little strange, a little spooky, and just creepy enough to keep you peeking over the covers. So settle in, close your eyes, but don't fall asleep just yet. Welcome to Sleep Tight Frights, the podcast where spooky stories slip into the night. I'm your host, Evergrey, and each week I'll share a tale that's just scary enough to keep you wide awake. Tonight, we're wandering into the woods where something strange is waiting. Remember to stick around after the story to hear a fear fact, a true and creepy fact to give you chills before bed. This is The Lost Cabin. The summer trail split at the fallen cedar. Marlowe knew the way back to camp curved right, hugging the lake. But the path left breathed a colder wind, scented with moss and silence. She hesitated only a moment before following it, the dragonfly hum fading behind her. The forest pressed close, green needles knitted a canopy overhead. She had walked this campground for years and never seen this turn. The air felt expectant, as if the trees themselves waited for what she might find. Then the clearing opened. At its center stood a cabin no one remembered building. It was perfect in its plainness. Square logs, neat chimney, porch step, worn smooth. But there was no trail to its door, no garden. Cabins did not simply appear, yet this one looked as though it had always been there. Marlowe stepped onto the porch. The boards gave no creak. The door yielded to her hand as if it was waiting. Inside, dust and cinnamon greeted her, a smell of kitchens long past. Golden light warmed the room. At first glance, it was ordinary. Table, rug, jars on shelves. Then she turned towards the windows. Each window told a different story. One, spring's meadow, flowers swaying, bees stitching patterns in the air. Another blazed with summer, lake water flashing bright, children leaping from the dock, a dog scattering droplets like sparks. The third smoldering with autumn, leaves drifting in malted red and gold. The last whispered winter's hush, white branches bowed under snow, flakes tumbling slow. The clearing outside had been late summer dusk, but in here, all seasons breathed at once, and above the door a schoolhouse clock ticked backwards. The second hand slid smooth in reverse. The minute hand jerked back, undoing time notch by notch. Marlowe's unease deepened. On the table lay a folded note. She opened it, fingers trembling. Rules of the house. Number 1, do not take what you did not bring. Number 2, do not speak to what you do not see. Number 3, do not stay when the hands align. A scrawl had added a fourth. 4, do not answer your own voice. From upstairs, the sound unfurled. Marlowe? Her own name in her own voice. She turned to the winter window. A child in a red scarf darted through the snow. Her scarf, her face, 1 year younger. Spring revealed her smaller still. Fists full of dandelions. Summer showed her racing down a dock, striped swimsuit flashing. Autumn framed her laughter, arms brimming with leaves. Every window held her, every season remembered. Marlowe? Her voice called again, coaxing from upstairs. The backwards clock ticked on. The staircase rose, 13 steps polished to velvet smoothness. The air smelt of cedar and dust. Marlowe climbed, each creakless tread heavier than the last. The upstairs hall was narrow, lined with shadows. 2 doors waited. From one spilled gray light, thin as fog. From within came her voice again. "I've been waiting." The room was small, a bed, a trunk, a window that showed only a gray shimmer, colorless and shifting. By it stood a figure with Marlowe's shoulders, Marlowe's hair, Marlowe's scarf. Slowly it turned. Her own face stared back. "You took your time," the double said. It was her voice, perfect, practiced. The gray window pulsed behind it like breath. "I was you," it murmured. "You will be me." Marlowe remembered the note. "Do not answer your own voice." But she already had. "What happens if I leave?" she whispered. "You can," said the double. "But the house will follow. Every mirror, every clock, you will hear it when you're alone. And if I stay, then the house will give you all seasons, all moments, forever, until someone else comes and you may go." It opened the trunk. Inside lay a small wooden carving of the lake, mended smooth where once it had cracked. "I made this here," said the double softly. "The only difference between us." Downstairs, the backward clock thudded, louder now, as if sensing choice. The hands crept towards 12. The double stepped closer, its eyes glinting with something too knowing. "You could stay. You could fix what was broken. You could be complete." Marlowe's chest tightened. The windows below flashed in memory. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, all her faces waiting. The clock gave a hollow click. The hands were about to align. Marlowe ran. She fled 13 steps, past the 4 windows that trapped her seasons, past the table with its note, past the rug that whispered with footsteps not her own. The porch swallowed her stride, and the forest rushed in like closing curtains. When she looked back, the cabin was gone. Only the silence of the woods remained. That night in her bed at home, she heard it again, a faint tick sliding backwards. And from the corner of the dark, her own voice whispered, "Are you coming?" And that was The Lost Cabin, a story of windows that remember, voices that don't belong, and choices that follow us long after we leave the woods. Keep listening for tonight's Fear Fact, a little true tale to tingle your spine. Thank you for joining me tonight in the shadows. There are many more stories waiting, stories of haunted halls, whispering rivers, and creatures that walk where no one should. So be sure to come back soon for another tale and bring your courage with you. And remember, the best way to support Sleep Tight Frights is to share the podcast with your friends and leave a review. It helps more listeners find their way into the dark with us. Did you know around the world, cabins and forest huts are wrapped in eerie legends? In Romania, tales warm of Muma Paduri, the mother of the forest, who hides in a crooked wooden hut. She protects the woods fiercely, welcoming animals, but punishing humans who wander too far, especially children. Closer to home in Canada, French-Canadian loggers told stories of the chasse galerie, or flying canoe, born from dark packs made deep in their remote forest camps. And even today, some cabin owners in Quebec report strange knocks and bangs on their walls at night, only to find nothing outside. One family even abandoned their cabin entirely, convinced the forest itself was haunted. Next time you see a lonely cabin hidden in the woods, remember, some doors lead to more than just the woods. Thank you for listening to Sleep Tight Frights. It means more than you know, to us and to the things that listen back. I'm Evergray, your guide through the shadows, and if you felt something was watching as the story unfolded, you're not alone. They remember the ones who listen, they wait for the ones who return. So come back soon. Sleep tight if you can.